Hare Krishna.
Haribol, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Sorry, just having some computer issues. So I'll just start with the mobile and my. I'm just trying to reload in my laptop so that the camera can work. So in the meantime, I'll just start the kirtan.
Cool. All good. Thank you.
Jai Jai Shri Shri Gaunitai Bhagwan ki Jai. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Hari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai
Radha Madhava
Madhava
Punjabi
Kunja
Hari.
Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari
Hari.
Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Yashodanandana
Yashodhanandana
Vrajana
Vrajanaranjana
Yamunathira Vanachari
Yamunatira Vanachari
Yamunathira Vanachari
Yamunatira Vanachari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Krishna Hare
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 Rama
Rama Hare
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare Rama,
Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Hare Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama, Rama
Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya
Jaya
Gauranitai,
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 Gauranitai, Jaya
Jaya
Gauranitai.
Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya
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 Jaya Prabhupada,
Prabhupada.
Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya
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 Gurudev,
Gurudev
Gurudev,
Gurudev
Gurudev,
Jaya
Jaya
Jai
Gurudev.
Guru Hari Bol
Ibo.
Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari
Hari Bol
Hari
Hari
Bol
Bol Hari Bol Jai Bol
Gora Hari Bol.
Go Pranande Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Namo Vishwat Paramahansa Privaja Acharya Ashtottr Divine Grace Abhay Channel Ravindra Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Acharya Beautiful Acharya Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai
Jai
Nanda Gaudiya Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai
Jai
Namacharya Srila Vikas Thakur Ki Jai
Jai
प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि श्री गौर भक्तवृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गौ गोपीनाथ श्यामकुंड राधाकुंड गिर गोवर्धन की जय
Jai
श्री श्री वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय श्री श्री
Jai
गोपीनाथ धाम की जय
Jai
गंगा माई की जय
Jai
भक्ति देवी महारानी की जय
Jai
सीतारामत गौर भक्तवृंद की जय
Jai
जय गौर वृंदे हरि हरि बोल
Hari Bol.
all those assembled devotees Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna.
all those assembled devotees Hare Krishna
Hare
all
Krishna.
those assembled devotees Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna.
all those Shri Guru and Gauranga all those Shri Prabhupada ki
Jai.
jai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo
Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om
Om Namo
Namo Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna everyone
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please. So, welcome to the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class. So, today we are reading the last verse from this chapter 30. So, we are into Canto 4, the creation of the fourth order, chapter 30, the activities of the Prachetas, and today we're going to cover the last two verses, 50 and 51. So, I'll just read 50 and then we'll read 51 together. या जयामना सर्वेषां तेजस्तेजस्विनं रुचा सव्योपदत्तदक्षयश्च कर्माणं दक्षाम् अब्रुवम्. So that was 50 and then 51. We'll read together. Tam praja sarga rakshayam
Tam
Tam
Praja
Tam
Praja
Praja
Sarga
Sargarakshayan,
Sargarakshayam.
Tam praja raksha sarga sorry Tam praja sarga rakshayam
Tam
Tam
Praja
Praja
Sargarakshayam.
Sargarakshayan,
Sarga
Anadir avishijaya cha
Anadir
Anadiravishyasya
Avisijyasya.
Anadir avishijaya cha
Anadir
Anadiravishyasya
Sarvishijaya,
yuyoje anayamscha
Yuyoja Yuyuje Namasya
yuyoje anayamscha
Yuyoja Yuyuje
Ayurveda,
Namasya
savai sarva prajapatin
Savi Sarva Prajapati
Prajapatin.
savai sarva prajapatin
Savai
Savi
Sarva
Prajapati
Prajapatin.
tam praja sarga rakshayam
Tam Praja
Sarva
Sarvarakshayam.
Anadhir abhishechaya cha
Anadir
Abhishekaya
Abhishijyasya.
yayuja yayuje annayamscha
Yuja
Yuje
Cha
Savai Sharva Prajapatin
Savai
Savai
Sarva
Sarva
Prajapatin
Tam Praja Sarga Rakshayam
Sam Praja
Praja
Sarva
Sarva
Rakshayam
Rakshayam
Anadirhavishechaya cha
Anadir
Anayavishikaya
Abhishekya Cha
Yayuja Yayujayannayamscha
Yuja
Yujya
Yamcha
Yujyenyamscha
Savai Sharva Prajapatin.
Savai Sarva
Savai
Prajapatim
Sarva Prajapatin
Hare Krishna.
Tam
Hare Krishna
praja sarga rakshayam
Tam Praja Sarga Rakshayam
anadir avisichya cha
Anadira
Anadir
Vishikita
Abhishekya Cha
yuyoja yuje nyamascha
Yujya Yujye Anyamscha
Yuja
savai sarva prajapatin.
Savai
Savai
Sarva
Sarva Prajapatim
Prajapatin
Hare Krishna.
Tam Praja Sarga Rakshayam
Tam praja sarga rakshayam
Anadir Abhishekya Cha
anadir
Anadirabhisishaya
avisichya
cha
cha
Yujya Yujyenyamscha
Yayuja
yuyoja yuje
Yayujayannayamscha
nyamascha
Savai Sarva Prajapatin
Savai
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 Sarva
sarva
Sharva
Prajapatim
prajapatin.
Tam
Tam
praja
Praja Sarga Rakshayam
tam
Tam
Tamraja
Praja
praja
Sarga
Sarga
Rakshayam
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 Anadira Vishikya Cha
Anadir
anadir
Anadirabhisishaya
Abhishekya
cha
Cha
avisichya
Yuja Yuje Enyamsha
Yujya
yuyoja yuje
Yujyenyamscha
nyamascha
Savai Sarva Prajapatim
Savai
vai sarva
Sarva Prajapatin
prajapatin.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Tam praja sarga rakshayam
Tam
Tam
Praja
praja
Sarga
sarva
Rakshayam
rakshayam
anadira visichya cha
Anadir
anadir
Abhishekya
avisichya cha
Cha
yuyoja yuje nyamscha
Yujya
yuyoja yuje nyamascha
Yujyenyamscha
sarvai sava prajapatin
Savai
vai
Savai
Sarva
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 Prajapatim
Prajapatin
prajapatin.
Thank you. Word by word translation. Yaha,
Yeah,
Yeah,
one who.
One
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 who
who
Jaya Manaha,
jaya
Jayamanaha
manaha
just after his birth.
just
just
after his birth
after his birth.
Sarvesham,
Sarvesham
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 of all.
of
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 all
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 Tejaha,
Tejaha
Tejaha,
the brilliance.
the
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 brilliance
brilliant
brilliance.
Tejasvinam,
Tejasvinam
Tejasvinam
Tejasvinam,
brilliant.
brilliant
brilliant.
Rucha,
rucha
Rucha,
Rucha
by effulgence.
by
by
effulgence
effulgence
effulgence.
Swaya,
Swaya
Swaya,
his.
his
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 Upadatta,
Upadatta
Upadatta
Upadatta,
covered.
covered
covered.
covered
Dakshayat,
Dakshyat
Dakshayat,
from being expert.
from
from
being
from
being
being
expert
expert.
expert.
Cha,
Cha
Cha,
Cha
and
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 Karmanam,
Karma,
Karmanam
Nam,
in fruitive activities.
in
in
fruitive
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 activities
activities.
activity.
Daksham,
Daksham
Daksham,
Daksham
Daksha,
Daksha
Daksha
Daksha,
Abruvam
Abruvan
Abruvan
Abruvam
was called.
was
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 called
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 Tam,
Tam,
him,
him,
praja,
Praja,
living beings,
living beings,
sarga,
sarga,
generating,
generating,
rakshayam,
rakshayam,
in the matter of maintaining,
in the matter of maintaining,
anadihi,
anadihi,
the firstborn Lord Brahma,
the firstborn Lord Brahma,
avhishichaya,
Abhishya,
having appointed,
having appointed,
cha,
cha,
also,
also,
yuja,
yuja,
engaged,
engaged,
yuj,
yuj,
engaged,
engaged,
anyan,
anyan,
others,
others,
cha,
cha,
and, saha,
saha,
he,
he,
why,
why,
certainly,
certainly,
sarva,
sarva,
all,
all,
prajapati,
Prajapati,
progenitors of living entities.
progenitors of living entities.
Thank you. Now the translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We will read the translation together. After being born,
After being born,
Daksha,
Daksha,
by the super excellence of his bodily luster,
by the super excellence of his bodily luster,
covered all others' bodily opulence.
covered all others' bodily opulence.
Because he was very expert
Because he was very expert
in performing fruitive activity,
in performing fruitive activities,
he was called
he
he was called
by the name Daksha,
by the name Daksha,
meaning the very expert.
meaning the very expert.
Lord Brahma, therefore,
Lord Brahma, therefore,
engaged Daksha in the work
engaged Daksha in the work
of generating living entities
of generating living entities
and maintaining them.
and maintaining them.
In due course of time,
In due course of time,
Daksha also engaged
Daksha also engaged
other Prajapatis, progenitors,
other Prajapatis, progenitors,
in the process of
in the process of
generation and maintenance.
generation and maintenance.
The Bhaktivedanta purport. Daksha became almost as powerful as Lord Brahma. Consequently, Lord Brahma engaged him in generating population. Daksha was very influential and opulent. In his own turn, Daksha engaged other Prajapatis, headed by Marichi. In this way, the population of the universe increased. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the fourth canto, 30th chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled The Activities of the Prachetas. Om Ajnanatirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshunvitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manohishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shivata Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Gunatam Tam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Pariyana Shaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sakanavita Shri Vishakanitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namasute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwahani Sute Dehi Pranamami Haripriya Vanchakalpatarubhascha kripa sindhuva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shivoda Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kaviritam kalmasapaham Shravanamangalam Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Bhuvi Jebhuri Rajana Bhuvi Jebhuri Rajana. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances, all the Srila Prabhupada, always to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees. So today, the last two verses of this wonderful chapter. So in this verse, it's basically the end. So we know that here specifically we encountered the personality of Daksha Prajapati. So Daksha Prajapati is someone that we are not that we are already aware of. We already met him in his previous life in the in previous chapter where he had the pastime with Lord Shiva. So to appreciate, to properly appreciate his role in this whole pastime, it will be helpful that if we understand the if we understand his background in the previous verses and the chapters. So after the 10 prachetas, the sons of King Prachini performed severe austerities under the guidance of Lord Shiva, and also they satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu appeared before them and blessed them. So as a part of that arrangement, the Prachetas, they were instructed to marry Marisa. Marisa, she is like a highly qualified and virtuous lady. So, and Marisha's origin was very unique, as we learn. She was born. She was born actually from the combined blessings of sage Kundu, Kandu, sage Kandu, and the Celestial Society, and from the Celestial Society, and she ultimately nurtured by the trees. So basically, Marisa represents as a harmonious kind of integration between the nature and the divine energies. So as we read, like from the union of Prachetas and Marisa, Daksha was born, and this is, as we know, this is second birth of Daksha. In his previous life, Daksha was born from the mind of Brahma. So that's why he's called the Manas Putra. Daksha was Brahma's Manas Putra. Means he was born from the mind of Lord Brahma. But as the pastime went, we went through that due to his offense towards Lord Shiva during the famous sacrifice, he met with destruction, and as a result, he is taking birth again. And as he's taking his birth, how it is explained here, the appearance of Daksha carries forward not only his previous the responsibility, but also the impression, from his prior consciousness. So here we see that Bhagavatam again showing us that the how continuity of karma, like through the continuity of karma and the influence of the metal, like not material influences, and the mental at the same time, the subtle, it's all goes like flow through the subtle body. um, and that also happens for the great personalities. So in this context, like here, this these words describe upon the birth of Daksha. It is in the purport it mentioned that that Daksha exhibited such extraordinary bodily effulgence that has overshadowed the opulence of others. Also the other thing is because of his exceptional expertise in executing the fruitive activities. So it is specifically mentioned that his expertise was in executing fruitive activities, and that's the reason that he was given the name Daksha, which means expert or highly capable. And recognizing this, Lord Brahma once again entrusted him with the crucial responsibility of generating the population and maintaining the universal order, right? So previously also Daksha came for that from the mind of Brahma, but here, as he came with the similar features, so Lord Brahma again entrusted him with this responsibility. And in due course of time, as it mentioned in the purport, that Daksha also engaged further Prajapatis in this process for expanding the work of creation. So from the very beginning, Daksha's role has been established as a very powerful. He's someone who is very powerful, very influential, and very competent leader. But operating within the material sphere. So nothing has been mentioned about the spiritual. So he's very much expert in the material sphere of doing things. So that's why the first thing that we can reflect on is the nature of qualification, which specifically mentioned here. Um, like in this material world, and this is basically from the beginning of our education, like in that we got trained in a way that that qualities such as like efficiency, intelligence, leadership, like these kind of qualities, they are very highly glorified. And again, there is nothing wrong in it, but we need to see the purpose behind it, why it has been glorified. And we can see that through this example of Daksha. uh, Daksha basically embodied all of these characteristics, right? Like by efficiency, he's efficient, intelligent, he is very influential, very productive, right? So um, in many ways he actually represents the ideal, in a way, materially successful person. He in the like in today's day and age, if we so how we can define materially successful people. So you bring up the 5 top CEOs in the world, like you see, like, from the CEO of Google, CEO of like IBM, CEO of these big companies. So top 5 of them. And but this, because of the Kali Yuga, the context has also changed. That one person doesn't need to be all of them. Like doesn't need to be efficient, super efficient, or super excellent. What that person is that person has created a team around them, and that team comprises of this, like in a way, and he knows how to lead them. That people, like the efficient people, intelligent people, and then he intelligently lead them, and he knows how to get out the productivity out of them. And that's how we see that these the companies, in the context of that, they shines, and they get so much opulence. from the other ones. So that's why, like, here, Daksha also is similar, like, in all those things. Here Daksha is actually very higher than them because he had all these qualities full in them, from materialistic perspective. But what we learn from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, that while acknowledging all these qualities, we have to also look deeper, as we mentioned before, that the purpose behind it. It asks us basically that where this material excellence, or these are only are they only required for, or sufficient for our true success? So basically, if we try to, and as we read from the different pastimes, and also from different pastimes, it's revealed that it's actually not sufficient. Material, basically all this material qualification, they are required in spiritual world. They are definitely required, but what's the difference between having this in material world and the spiritual world is that in material, all those material qualification, when they are then become disconnected from the spiritual consciousness, then they become the source of bondage. Say they actually bind someone more and more, rather than liberation. So when we try to analyze it more, that here we see that Lord Brahma himself, he assigned Daksha for this his role, and it actually highlights an important principle. All responsibilities, no matter how big or small they actually ultimately delegated by some supreme arrangement. Nothing happens as an independent or anything like which is accidental. Each living entity here is placed according to the qualification and karma, but also as a part of a higher divine plan. And that is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 3.27, that where the Lord explains that all activities are carried out by the modes of material nature, right? And yet the conditioned soul, mainly because of false ego, thinks that they are the doer, like, we are doing everything. So obviously, I'm sure all of you know this verse, that prakite kriyamanani guna karmani sarvasha ahankara vimuratma kartaham iti mannate. Vimuratma, vimura. What happened? That because something is happening around me, and I suddenly start to think that it's all happening because of me. I'm the doer. Daksha was empowered by Brahma. So whatever Daksha's, yes, there are some physical features and things which came to him, but ultimately he was empowered by Brahma. But the deeper here, like as we said, that what we need to understand, that whether he remained consciousness about that the higher source of empowerment. If when we see that someone, and it's also like, if we see some of the leaders, still some are still exist, where you see that they are very successful from materialistic point of view, but they still, from their mindset, they keep themselves aloof from the things. They don't get too much bogged down by all the accolades, and also at the same time they don't get too much disturbed with all the setbacks. At the same time, they also make sure that whatever is happening, they think that there is something divine in like above them, which is present and which is make these things happening. So there are still some leaders who thinks in that way, but obviously they are not fully not coming and reading Bhagavad Gita or fully Krishna conscious. But because of some sukriti, they still have this in their mind and heart, and they try to employ that. And most often we see that those leaders actually progress from the spiritual point, from the materialistic point of view. Um, so that's why it's very important to acknowledge that everything comes from the higher source of empowerment. That we are having this because we have been empowered by someone. So never ever try to think that okay, this is because of my I'm doing like this, I'm doing like that. It's actually again because the thing is, if someone start to think in that way, then the false ego creeps in more and more and more, and that's what we see that which happens with Daksha, right? uh, so the next thing is, this is the first thing, that the acknowledgement of the superior source of empowerment. So that is first thing. The second thing is, what mentioned that Daksha was particularly expert in fruitive activities, right, or karma kanda. So fruitive activity refers that we know that it's basically at achieving some material opulence. When we do some work, we whether those result, like when we do something, whether those results in like wealth, or any kind of fame or prestige. Daksha's engagement in generating this population is aligned with these principles. So basically, he wants to do it, but at the same time, he also likes all these accolades which comes. Um, so while karmakanda is necessary for maintaining the order, but it is not the ultimate purpose of life. That we know that in Bhagavad Gita also, from karma kanda, jnana kanda, they are required, but they actually don't take us to the ultimate purpose of the life, which is self-realization and the like the service of the Lord. Jive Sarupai Krishna Nityadas. Karma kanda and jnana kanda will not be able to take someone to this or more importantly keep someone in that principle. So that's why the higher principle has been very nicely explained in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Again, a very wonderful verse. I'm sure we all have read that Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, first canto, second chapter, verse number 6. Savai pumsam paro dharma yato bhakti adokshaje. So, which teaches that the supreme occupation for all humanity is that which awakens loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. So that basically said that all the transition from karma to bhakti becomes essential journey of the soul. So if someone is just only occupied with the karmic kind of activities, again that will bring something to them, but it will not take them to the ultimate truth of the life. So that is the second thing. And then from Daksha's life also, it serves as a as a cautionary example regarding the subtle danger of pride. So when someone becomes really capable with and successful, and that I'm sure all of us have experienced, even if we try to do even regarding some service, and suddenly we see that what we are doing, people are appreciating, people are coming to you and saying, oh, like you have done such a nice service and things. um, there is a natural tendency for ego to develop, and it's natural. It's with human beings, it happens. Um, so this sense of the pride and doership ultimate, but if we're not being cautious about that, it can lead to offenses. And especially like sometimes we ended up we blaspheme devotees. You know why? Because what happened that when we are doing the service, and as again human being, we are bound to do some mistakes. And when some mistake happened, and if someone comes and tell you that this mistake has been happened and you have to take responsibility, but then after having all those accolades for years, we become so full of false pride, we don't want to take that. I said, no, this person is jealous of me, that's why that person is saying all this bad thing about me, rather than understand what the mistake is and learn from the mistake and make that service even better for next time. We get kind of like bundle up in that motion of like that somebody has came and they have said some bad things about me, which I'm thinking is a bad thing, and that's why I have to also retaliate against that. So when that kind of mentality happens, then basically we do like that the ultimate offense, that when we read the 10 offenses the against holy name, the first one is counts that to blaspheme a devotee who have dedicated their life for the preaching of the glories of the holy name, and that is the topmost offense. And this from Daksha's life that we see that he ended up doing this, that his pride manifests in such a way that in his dealings with Lord Shiva, it actually led to a very serious consequences. um, so that's why spiritual advancement doesn't always mean that merely about acquiring any kind of qualification, or or like any kind of like, okay, I have this, like achieved this position, or I have achieved this title or something like that. No, it's not about that. It's also important thing is cultivating humility. um like in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord mentioned in 13th chapter, um that the word amanitvam, which is humility, is the very first quality of knowledge. So if someone is getting knowledge rather than getting puffed up with the fact that I can remember 500 verses, no, that is not the right mood. The right mood is understanding those verses, and the first thing will come is humility. So without humility, so that's why we say that without humility, even great, like someone as expert as Daksha, they become spiritually in a very dangerous place, right? So that's why it's very important to understand that all this material qualification that we are talking about, that it's like this like in being influential, being responsible, being expert, right? We have to be, it has to be clearly dealt with. But for once, again, we need to understand, but what does it mean that someone shouldn't try to become try to become an expert, or they shouldn't be try to become like a responsible? That's not the case. um, with obviously with those the danger is there, but we need to know that how we can basically deal with them, or we can manage them. um, we shouldn't be under this misunderstanding that Bhagavatam is actually condemning this. Bhagavatam is actually teaching us that how we can properly situate them. um, Daksha's engagement with Brahma shows that the material material abilities can and should be used in the service of the divine plan. But the problem arises that when those abilities um, get somehow um, taken away from the devotion and used for self-centered reason. So any kind of any all those expertise, if those get started using for benefiting our own ego, then those becomes really dangerous. very, very dangerous. And with that example we see everywhere, so it's important. Then we need to understand that how we can, specifically the three things that we read today, that how these things can be dealt with. So the first thing is the expertise, which is obviously Daksha, his name, expert. Expertise, responsibility, and leadership. These three things. These three things is required very much because of the that if we want to do something and we want to do our serviceness, even if we just consider doing spiritual service, these are very much important. Now, how these three can be used? The first thing is expertise. Expertise must be combined with humility. That is the first one. The second one, responsibility. Responsibility must be combined with devotion. And leadership must be combined with compassion and service. So that's how we can deal with it, and we can connect it with the service to the Lord. So if we just see a little bit in a little bit deeper, that expertise gives us this ability to act effectively, right? So to organize, to basically solve problems, and to execute things successfully. There can be someone whom that this Prabhu or Mataji is very expert. No matter whatever the situation is, they plan in such a way that they can make it happen. But from our example, we see that the more expert they are, the more human, humble they are. If you sit with them, like before engaging them with this service, if you just sit with them, and if you don't know them, you'll never even know that this person is so expert in doing that thing, because they remain very, very humble. The ultimate thing is because they think that they are just the instrument in the hand of the God, and everything is been done by the Lord, and they are just like following it. But that doesn't mean that they just leave everything on the Lord to do it. At the same time, they actually make sure that they put their 100%. But that 100%, more than 100%, they put because they think that this is their obligation. That is the least that they can do for the Lord. The Lord is doing so much for us. Um, Sometimes also it's good for us to remind us that how small are we in front of this, this the Lord. Lord is just not we go to the temple, we see the wonderful, beautiful deities, and we think, oh, this is the Lord. But Krishna and Krishna's form is unimaginative. We can't even imagine it, how huge this is. Sometimes that's why when someone goes to very close to the nature, in front of a huge mountain or in front of a vast sea, then suddenly you just think that how big it is and how small we are. So actually this mood protect us from the pride. That is the main thing. If we just become if we try to become just merely the instrument, that's what it actually have the main thing here. When someone actually hold this consciousness, even the great achievements depend gratitude rather than inflate the ego. I was hearing one of the lecture that someone asked Brahmananda Prabhu. Brahmananda Prabhu was one of the very early disciples of Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada at that point of time, he did so many wonderful things with Srila Prabhupada at the early days, like organizing so many programs, the book distribution, and everything. And someone asked Brahmananda Prabhu, so what is the hardest thing that Prabhupada asked you to do, like among all these things that you have done? And he said, you know what was his answer? He said, chant 16 rounds attentively. See, like, that's the mood of them. Like, that's why they like, without having any prior, like, any experience in Vedic way of life, they have created such wonderful, like, facilities for all of us. Today we are sitting in Australia, one of the cities, Brisbane, in one of the suburbs in Dara, and we are having this wonderful temple. It's because they actually put that seed there, and we are taking all the inspiration from them. So that's why it's very important that have that mood of um, humility. So expertise combined with humility. That was first thing. Second thing is the responsibility. So the responsibility combined with devotion. So that means that we neither neglect our duties. Also, at the same time, we don't become lost in them. We all the responsibility that we have, we somehow or other we spiritualize them, like some or other dovetail them, whether managing a team, serving in temple, taking care for the family, like, the activity becomes purified when it done as an offering. Like, these are all Krishna's. So I'm just trying to, this is Krishna's service, this is Krishna's temple, this is Krishna's team, this is Krishna's family, and I'm trying to help them. And this actually, our when we do this as a service, then it becomes our duty without any attachment. And that's how the duty becomes kind of, um, in a way, purification, or like it becomes, it takes us close towards Krishna, rather than it's an entanglement. So that's why the responsibility needs to be combined with devotion. So everything that we are doing as an offering to Krishna. And then the last one was leadership. The leadership combined with compassion and service. And this is basically the essence of Vaishnava leadership, as you say. Like, when you see that in the current world, leadership often revolves around control and recognition. Like, people are just going around saying, okay, I want to be at the front, I want to be at the front, I want to say this because I want this recognition. But it doesn't work like that. In the spiritual life, it actually means that the greater the responsibility to serve and uplift, like, the greater the responsibility, the lower that you have to go. You have to push everyone. You have to be at the leader becomes like a caretaker. The leader doesn't become like someone who is at the front and I'm taking the garland, I'm the one who is taking the picture. Yeah, this will all happen at some point of time, like, with some arrangement it needs to be. But a true leader becomes like a caretaker. And what the caretaker does, its name is there is a word there, is means care. It's like a taking care. That's why it came caretaker. And also important is guiding by personal experience, and also personal example. And that's how, when that kind of leaders are there, that's where the famous verse that yeah, they are acharya sheshtas tat evarato janaha, means whatever a great person does, others follow. So that's why the leadership have, like, all these things, the expertise, responsibility, everything in remains, like, comes automatically in the leader. So the true leadership inspires everyone through humility, integrity, and genuine concern for others. Compassion, genuine compassion has to be really important to understand. The genuinity is there. It's just by showing someone, oh, like, you have done this, and then never even ask them anytime, never even speak with them anytime, and just go to them when you need something from them, and then go and then don't even remember them. No, it doesn't work like that, because at the days end we all know that purity is the essence, and that's where all these wonderful all these wonderful qualities help someone to expand themselves, elevate themselves in the service of the Lord. So this is where I like to end here. Sorry, we are 1 minute over, but this is like, the qualities that we saw in Daksha, but he was using them in the materialistic way, and that's how we see that again he's going to be in a trouble, and that's we are going to probably we're going to read in Canto 6. So thank you all for joining today. We'll start a new chapter, chapter 31 from tomorrow. So before we finish, quickly, if there is any comment or anything anyone wants to add, we are already over time, but we might take one or two, or if not, we will close the session. Okay, thank you. Thank you all for joining today. We will again meet tomorrow. Vanchakalpataru vasya kripa sindhuveva cha patitanang pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo namo namaha. Anandakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Das Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanande Hari Bo. Hare Krishna.
Somendra Krishna Das Prabhu ki jai.
Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai.
Hari Bo.